These are the notes for linear programming day 3. So our first problem is talking about owning a t-shirt company. Feel free to read all the way through the problem, but it gives you a little bit of information about profit and then what it takes to make these t-shirts. So for part number 1, define the variables. These are the products. What are they selling? So you're selling t-shirts, but there's 2 types of t-shirts. T-shirts with a small logo and t-shirts with a large logo. Then for part 2, write the objective function to be maximized or minimized. This has to do with the money. So there's going to be 2 numbers in this problem that have to do with money. The first one, it starts right here. A t-shirt with a small logo makes a profit of $8. And then a large logo, profit of $11. So I'll write that as 8x plus 11y. And I already have the c equals in front, so I don't need to finish off the equation with an equal sign. All right, the next part is what it takes in order to make these products. So in order to make a small logo t-shirt and what it takes to make a large logo t-shirt. So in order to look for that, you just kind of skim through the paragraph and you should notice 2 words, 2 processes that you would need in order to make the products. The first one I see is create. So you actually have to create the logo. There's another word I see, create, right? And then I have these words that go along with, these numbers that go along with creating. It says it takes 1 hour to create, and then 2 hours to create. And then I have 6 hours total set aside for creating. So my first inequality is going to be all my create numbers. 1, 2, and 6. 1x plus 2y, and we're going to use our less than or equal to 6 because I have up to 6 hours to use. All right, let's look for our next word. Our next process looks like it's going to have to be printing. I see a lot of words that have to do with printing. So it takes 15 minutes to print, 20 minutes to print, and 120 minutes for printing. So 15, 20, and 120 will make my second equation that has to do with printing. 15x plus 20y is less than or equal to 120. At the end of each of these problems, there are going to be 2 small blanks. And what these are to make sure that our answers make sense. So when we're creating t-shirts, we can create 0 or 1 or 2 or 3, but you cannot create negative t-shirts. So in order to make sure that that doesn't happen, we say x is greater than or equal to 0 and y is greater than or equal to 0. And for the problems we're doing in this class, these are always going to be here. Always here. X is greater than 0, y is greater than or equal to 0. All right, and that's all you have to do for problems like that. Let's go ahead and try the second one. This one's talking about a Circle City Sweets company. It looks like they make cakes and cupcakes. So cakes and cupcakes. Part 2, the objective function to be maximized. We're always talking about here the money. See if you can find the 2 numbers that have to do with money and profit. You should have found the 35 and the 20. Your equation, 35x plus 20y. All right, the next part is again ask us what it takes to make these products. So we go through looking for words that we see often. So it says it makes cakes and cupcakes. It takes 2 hours to bake, 5 hours to decorate. Okay, so baking and decorating sound like the 2 things I'm going to use. And then it kind of goes on, 1 hour to bake, 2 hours to decorate. So one of my inequalities is going to be all about baking. And the other one's going to be all about decorating. So I'm going to go through with my blue pen and just mark all the numbers that have to do with baking. All right, a cake takes 2 hours to bake, 5 hours to decorate. I'll come back to that 5 hours to decorate later. Batch of cupcakes takes 1 hour to bake, 2 hours to decorate. We'll come back to that. Ovens can bake for 8 hours a day. So those are the three numbers that have to do with baking, the 2, the 1, and the 8. I'll make an equation out of that. 2x plus 1y is less than or equal to 8. See if you can do the same thing for the decorating number. See if you can find the three numbers that have to do with decorating and write your equation. So I found the numbers 5, 2, and 10, and I'll write my equation just like that. Now, the 2 at the end are always going to be x is greater than or equal to 0 and y is greater than or equal to 0 because we cannot make negative cakes or cupcakes. Let's look at the problem on the backside. A bakery is making cinnamon bread and blueberry muffins. Right here, you can tell what the two products are. Cinnamon bread and blueberry muffins. Next thing I'm looking for is the money. Anything that has a dollar sign in front is what's going to go into this equation here. The next sentence tells me $35 and $10. 35x plus 10y. And again, I've already got the C equals in the front, so I don't need to look for a third number there. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is read through it a little bit and see if I can figure out what it takes to make the products. I notice the word prepare. I also notice the word bake. Let's see if that continues throughout. Let's see, there's prepare. There's another preparation. And then I see bake show up a couple more times too. Baking, bake. And so you're just going to take those numbers that are associated with it and write it into an equation. Prepare and bake. So a lot of times I like doing the different colors. So if you have any different color pencils or different even color pens, you can always go ahead and kind of do the same thing I'm doing here. All right, I'm going to look for my prepare numbers first in blue. I've got 4 hours to prepare, 2 hours to prepare, and then the maximum preparation time is 8. 4, 2, and 8 are going to form an equation. 4, 2, and 8. Then for the baking, 1 hour to bake, 2 hours to bake, and baking time of 5 hours. So 1, 2, and 5. And then, of course, the last two things, we can't make negative bread or negative muffins. So x is greater than or equal to 0, and y is greater than or equal to 0.